Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In this video, I'm going to be going over my 4 favorite old world markets that I recommend for people who have yet to get into old world crafting at all. So all of these suggestions are geared towards people who have yet gotten into old world, so you probably don't have the professions leveled up, you probably don't have reputation, stuff like that. Now, I will say a lot of these do require some effort because unlike Shadowlands where you can just level up the profession for a few thousand gold and have all the recipes, a lot of the old world is a little bit more complex, so you will be needing to put in a little bit more effort than you would in current content. However, the best thing about Old World is that it is already old, so if it's selling now, next expansion, it's going to continue to sell. So that is the best thing about Old World. Yes, it takes a little bit longer to get started, but once you're started, you are set for the rest of time. So definitely keep that in mind. Now we're going to be starting from my least favorite on this list to my favorite, and of course this is my personal opinion and suggestion, so definitely do some research on your server before you get started. But thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoy my content, I would love if you could subscribe or even like the video, and as always, here we go. So the first one is going to be a pretty obvious choice, and this is Old World glyphs. Now, glyphs specifically are from the inscription profession, and they are just cosmetic changes to anybody's class or abilities. So a very popular one is the Spectral Raptor, which is a Legion glyph. That makes the shaman form, which is traditionally like a wolf, it becomes a raptor. So, that might be appealing to people who play shamans as trolls, or just anybody who prefers raptors over wolves. So that is the appeal to glyphs, and because of that, they never get old. It does not matter the expansion, if somebody wants that specific look, then they will have to go and buy that glyph, as there are no current repeated glyphs as of Shadowlands. So a plus side, a pro to this, is that they're always selling, and they're cosmetic, so it doesn't really matter what's happening in a game. Now, the bad thing about this is that glyphs can be very hit or miss, especially on the lower pop and the fuller pop servers. They can be very drastic in terms of what glyphs are the best. So for example, sadly, my server is sadly not very good with glyphs. A lot of them are in the sub 1,000 range or even sub 500 gold range. So glyphs do not do that well on my server. However, potentially on your server, it could be really good. So you just need to look into it. Another great thing is that it is very easy to actually learn these glyphs. There is an ability in Draenor. It is this scroll ability. I will put the name on screen because I don't remember it off the top of my head. But you can craft these scrolls, and every time you use the scroll, you will learn a glyph that is pre-Draenor. So all of the old vanilla and everything from previous expansions, you can learn just from that simple trick, and it's very cheap to craft. Now, my final tip for Old World glyphs are to pay attention to the Legion ones. Now, the Legion ones might take a little bit more effort to unlock. However, they are probably and most likely the best selling as well as the most profit. They can be a little bit more expensive as you need Legion herbs compared to Draenor herbs or anything like that, but they are definitely worth it, and I highly recommend checking in with Legion glyphs. Moving on, our second on this list is going to be jewel crafting gems. Now, the reason this is on the list, as it normally should not be, is because Mage Tower is now permanent. Now, a lot of people have been disappointed with the Mage Tower because, unlike last time, which was supposed to only happen for a week, and it got extended to 2 weeks, the Mage Tower is now permanent. So anybody at any time, whether that's in a day, 6 months, 2 years, they can go and do the Mage Tower challenges whenever they're bored. So a lot of people have been disappointed with the amount of sales they've gotten. But this is very nice for our old world crafters because now we can craft all of this Mage Tower stuff and sell it literally every single day, besides just having to, save it all up for 1 week. Personally, on my server, I am on a medium pop, and I've had very large success with the gems. The ones I want to specifically talk to for beginners is the Crimson Spinel, as they do not require any large rep grinds. They are very, very easy to unlock. As well as the BFA gems, we have the Kraken's Eye and the Leviathan's Eye. Every once in a while, somebody will drop a ton of the uncut versions of these gems onto the auction house, and I can pick them up for a few gold each, like 20 to 50 gold a piece, and I'm reselling them for anywhere between 300 to 500, and even in the thousands. So those are just 3 of the gems, but jewelry crafting gems have been doing very well. Now, this is not really gem related. Technically, it could be if you count the Pandarian gems, but I also want to talk about jewel crafting panthers. I didn't want to make this its own section because jewelry crafting only really has the panthers as their mounts, but the panthers can be a great way to make gold, especially if you're on a lower pop server. The biggest issue with panthers is that if you're on a very full pop, there might be somebody who controls the market. Because they use alchemy transmutes and all of this, they can get their crafting cost very, very low, which can cause you to have a very hard time trying to actually get profit. So panthers will not be good on every single server, but medium pops normally have a pretty good market, and personally, I have a ton of success with them. Also, another tip is yes, they do require reputation, but you no longer have to do like the daily and weekly grinds. You can just go and look up a tutorial. There are some eggs that you can collect, and within 30 minutes to an hour, you should be able to get both or all recipes. Now, the second category we have, which is a little bit broader, is engineering mounts. Now, I previously talked about the Panther, and that's technically mounts as well, but I wanted to have one category strictly for mounts, and the best one would be engineering. Now, yes, other professions like tailoring, jewel crafting, blacksmithing all have 1 to 2 mounts in their profession, but if you really want to focus in, engineering probably has the most available to you. Starting out with strictly just leveling up the professions, you will unlock the flying machine, which is a great simple item to craft and make some profit. And then my favorite is personally the Mechanohog. Like how I stated at the beginning of this video, you do have to do some time commitment in order to start leveling up and getting into these markets, and Mechanohog is one of them. It does require reputation with the Horde Expedition or the Alliance faction equivalent, but it's pretty easy to get. It just requires you to run the Pit of Saron over and over again, and you will slowly gain reputation. So it's a little bit of a longer grind. However, technically you could do it all in one day. Just depends on how much time you have on your hands. The best thing about it is if you do the Pit of Saron method, you can also get a chance to drop the Battered Hilt, which sells for anywhere between 20 to 100,000 gold, depending on your server. During the time of getting all the reputation, I actually got 2 of them to drop, and I believe I sold them for 25k each, so a solid 50k on the side is pretty good. Now, there are a ton more engineering mounts from BFA. All of these, however, those are the 2 that I really wanted to point out. Now, one side note here, just to give you a tip, if you are looking into whether it's the Panther mounts or you're looking into the engineering mounts or anything, I do highly recommend getting yourself an Old World Alchemist with Transmute Mastery. Technically, you can even do this as a little side hustle. You could do Old World Alchemy on its own, do Transmute, simply flip the basic gems into the rare Pandarian gems. You can start transmuting the basic items into the more advanced items for profit. However, it can be a little bit slow, but it's a perfect partner with these old world professions that we're talking about. For example, like I kind of stated already, you can take the green basic Pandarian gems, transmute them into the rare blue versions, and use those for your Panther mounts. And that saves you a ton of gold. You can do that same thing with living steel transmutations for the Panther mounts as well. Or if you're doing the Mechanohog, you can transmute Serenite bars into titanium bars for your Titan steel, just in case you have really cheap Serenite and not a lot or very expensive titanium. So there are some really great methods that you can do to cut down on these prices, but it does require alchemy. So I guess technically we could throw this on the list, but it's kind of just a little extra tip. I do highly recommend, no matter what type of old world you're dealing with, get yourself a transmute master and you will definitely not regret it. Then lastly, as you guys will not be surprised at all if you guys watch my streams or have been watching for a while, I believe my third video on this channel was about this topic, and that is old world enchants. By far, if I only had to pick one profession to do old world stuff, and that would be enchants. Now, a lot of people think of that and they're like, why in the world are you selling enchants? Like, those are so useless. But you will be surprised at what type of items people buy. I will try to put screenshots right now on screen of my previous sales, as well as a few people in my Discord, and it's just from different servers, and surprisingly, they will buy the most randomest things. Now, the best thing about this is that the Tome of Illusions are also cosmetic items, so those do have a pretty good purpose of why they sell. And also, if you're selling the more mainstream enchants like the Crusader or something like that, they are also used currently in the Mage Tower. So those might have even a little bit of a buff. But what I do is you guys can actually find this in my Discord if you guys want to use my exact old world enchanting group that I currently use to make all the sales that I showed you previously. In the Discord, there's a free download. It's also attached to the free profile, so you might already have it. But what I do is literally highlight that group, restock it, craft everything I can, and just wait for it to sell. Now, some of them will only sell for 100 to 200 gold, but you know, they are crafted for like 50 gold or even 25 gold each, especially the vanilla ones. And I've had people, including myself, you know, there's none on the auction house. I post it at a very high price of like 10,000 gold. Somebody comes around and they actually purchase that enchant for 10,000 gold. So people use this for twinks, basic leveling. They might just not know it's not good anymore. Whatever the reason is, people buy them and, you know, don't really think about it. Just get the auction house filled and you'll be excited with all the sales that you get. But with that being said, that is basically my 4 and I guess 5 tips, including alchemy, for old world markets. Now, like I said, this is my personal opinion, and not all of these are going to be game changers for you, but of course, do some research, and hopefully this can give you a little bit of a direction, because old world can be very, very frightening. As always, if you guys have different suggestions, or you can back me up and say that, yes, old world enchants are good, or actually, you know, they're actually not as good as you say, feel free to let me know of your opinions. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Like I said earlier, feel free to like and even subscribe if you want to see more content, and have a good day.